Evening all, welcome back to Dust, and you join us as we play bloody Ashland for probably, I think it must be the 999th time ever. I don't mind Ashlands, but my god, I could do with some new maps. Anyway, let's talk some Dust. A lot's going on at the moment. I'm not entirely sure really what's going on, so as I stand here, as I sit here and steeple my fingers and go, in a very kind of quizzical way in my creaking leather chair, I honestly don't know what the hell is going on with CCP and EVE at the moment. Let me explain, because it's now been 3 months and 6 days since Legion was announced. In fact, is it more than that? No, it's 3 months. So that's a quarter of a year, basically, we've gone now, where they've not really said anything more about Legion. Now, I can pretty much guarantee you it's because they're working on it, and it's probably because it's rather good and it's getting there. My faith in it is not swayed in any way whatsoever. I still believe it will be a very, very good game indeed. I mean, the Dust IP is also, worthy of saving. It's very good. It's very interesting. The sci-fi element of it is actually quite good. So I am really completely behind Legion. I think it's going to be good when it comes out. But I think the issue is that there does seem to be kind of a collective silence on quite a lot of things. I mean, I know Ritati is doing his best to keep the community going. We've got a CPM now as well, which, again, sorry to say this, it sounds like they're not really doing anything. So are they just waiting for them to get into position? I mean, what's going on there? I don't know. I think really, what can they do, really? They're a community focus group. That's it. That's what they do. I have a feeling that maybe they know about as much as us, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. If it's not the case, then fair enough. But I think this has been CCP's problem throughout, is they really don't know how to manage their community. Every day we're seeing players leave. Every day we're seeing people lose faith, trade in their PS3, go and buy a PS4, or go and buy an Xbox One. Sorry for the laughter there. But either way, people are leaving this game. They're leaving the franchise. They're leaving CCP as a company. And it does surprise me that there's been so little comms. I mean, if you go to that sub forum for Legion, not a lot there, and it's all kind of old stuff as well. So yeah, I really don't know what the deal is. To be honest, we're to blame here. Hang on, let me explain. But we are actually to blame here, because we should not be sat here anticipating games from anybody really, because there's no guarantee they're going to make it. Let me cite the DayZ case here. DayZ was a mod for Arma 2. If you're not familiar with it, it's very good. It's like a zombie survival shooter. And it really struck a chord with so many people. It was just a mod. That's all it was. And when obviously people started buying it and paying money for it, they realized actually they had a bit of a hit on their hands. So what they then decided to do was to sell the mod as a commercial product. And then they just committed to building a standalone, which is where we are today. That was almost 3-4 years ago, maybe more. The developer of the mod has actually now kind of stepped away from the standalone game as well. And to be honest, I think there is a little bit of collective shuffling of feet, because they probably will never finish that game, and I mean ever, because it would not even be in their interest to do so, because then it would get a really bad score when it's reviewed, and then the dream would be over. And I think, to be honest, that's why a lot of people get quite angry about DayZ, because the reality is that it could be a game that never finishes, and even if it did, it would be a bit shit. And I think there's maybe a similar thing with Dust and Legion here, because the reality is they've got to get this right. It's got to be good. It's got to ace it. It's got to get a great review, and it's got to really kind of continue this quote prodigy status that CCP are quite keen to keep. And if they don't maintain that with the products they create, so Valkyrie is another example. If Valkyrie comes out and it's only mediocre, Elite's better than it in every way because it's deeper, it's more interesting, the sound's better, the VR works better, whatever it is, then that's a disaster for as well. So it really does come down to CCP, I think, quite honestly, have got to absolutely get this right now with Legion. So maybe that's why there's a bit of a collective pause. Who knows? I think I mean, already I think it's kind of too late. I think a lot of the time people just want to hear a status update. I know we generally, as human beings, we don't want to go out of our comfort zone. And that's probably why I think a lot of projects fail in the end anyway, because people aren't willing to go out of their comfort zone. But to have a product that everybody's, anticipating, waiting for, even people on the fence who've maybe decided that they want to stay with Dust and maybe will try it, maybe buy a PC for it, they all need to be kind of communicated with. And it just baffles me again that we have zero communication at all. And it does feel that there's really just nothing going on with Legion at all. And that's a really bad statement. I don't want to be like that, but I think the reality is I get more people asking me what the hell's going on with CCP and Legion than I think people post on their own goddamn forums. And to be honest, I don't know. I'm not their keeper. And I think I can't tell you what they're doing because I have no idea what they're doing. They don't share with me anything. And I think this is the reality of this, is that to be honest, they're kind of pushing people away now. And I think unless they kind of resolve some form of communications and get it out there better, the reality is half the community, nay, even most of the community, are going to walk, and rightly so, because to be honest, nobody wants to stick around, waiting for a game that probably will never come. And when it does, if it does, rather, it may not be very good. These are all things that people are quite frankly really entitled to say and think. And I think, to be honest, just as a voice of a particular group of people, from my point of view, I think the communication from CCP has sucked in the past. It sucked at FanFest, and it continues to suck to this day. They don't give much of a shit about this community. They're just quite interested in, in kind of carrying on their kind of golden quest to make a great game out of this IP. And if we come with it or if we don't come with it, we don't matter. And I think that really bothers me. That really does bother me. And this is why we're dropping back on our videos we're doing. We're dropping back on our kind of playing of this game. I'm not playing this game as much as I used to because, quite frankly, every time I log in, we're barely even getting full teams anymore. We're getting 7v6 or 8v7 and that. It's like the game matchmaking isn't even putting people in full matches anymore. And when you get that kind of scenario, you do have to question what is the point of this game anymore. I don't find it terribly rewarding as I used to. I think used to get some really good kind of fun acrobatic style fights. You don't really get them anymore. And I think really just generally the community is dwindling to the point where if I look at my messages from my from my channel, I get hundreds a day, literally hundreds of messages a day, or comments rather. And the reality is every single one of them now is, well, I would say probably the vast majority of them, 95% easily, is about Elite and Destiny and space engineers and just generally talking about YouTube and things. I don't think even there is a great critical mass of people enjoying this footage as much as maybe they used to. I mean, used to get a good couple of thousand views on every video I did about Dust. Now we're getting 700 or 800, and that's still good, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't incite the debate. It doesn't have groups of people really interested in talking about it. It doesn't have a great passion behind it. And I find that quite sad. When you look at the passion for Elite, go and have a look at one of the Elite Dangerous videos I've done. When you see the passion of the people commenting on those videos, they are all over it because it's new, it's exciting, it's something coming. And CCP could be on that train if they just had a better approach to communications. Do the odd teaser video, just literally tease us with something. I can't understand why they're not doing this. Is it because it's not greenlit? Therefore, corporately, they're not allowed to advertise a product that's not greenlit? Probably. So we're encountering bureaucracy and red tape. Again, this is what kills most small and medium enterprises in their first 5 to 10 years, is the fact that there's just too much bloody red tape. They build process because they think process is important. But by building process, you stifle innovation. It's a scales. You can't have all process and expect to be innovative and vice versa. You can't be innovative and expect to have any process at all. So CCP have got to strike that balance. But I think the reality is at the moment, I don't honestly honestly think Dust and Legion are their priority. I think the dropping and dwindling count of people in EVE is maybe more of a concern to them. EVE has dropped 10,000 casual players in the last 6 months. That's a frightening amount of players who are just not bothering to log on anymore. It doesn't mean they're not playing, but they're not playing continually and regularly. And that was always an issue with Dust, is that you still had people who logged in and play it, and you still to this day have people who are tourists to Dust. But what you don't have within EVE as much is those regular hardcore diehard players who continually play because they're chasing something, and what they're chasing could be God knows what, the next ship, a Titan, a mothership, who knows, a station, whatever. But it doesn't matter. What they had was a regular, hungry, keen, eager player base, and they still do, but that's reduced by a quarter. That's pretty damning. These numbers are verifiable in the EVE News 24 link that I'll probably forget to include, so just remind me in the comments and I'll do it. But basically, I think the Greedy Goblin, or whatever his name, Green Goblin, I don't know, some dude, he did a really good kind of study on the fact that there's just less. Generally, it's called the ACU, the average concurrent users, and it's just reduced. Now, I don't mean to be negative, don't get me wrong, this is not an unheard of thing. PlanetSide 2 has exactly the same problem. Their concurrent users just keeps going down because they have more and more tourists to the game, people who log on for a bit, enjoy the game, then piss off. And I think this is kind of the issue with the whole Dust situation. Is I still think there's quite a lot of you out there playing this game, but you're doing it on your own time in a much more casual way, which is fine, but you must understand there are inherent risks to CCP of that model when they can't show regular numbers, etc. Anyway, who knows? If anybody from CCP is watching this, hi, CEO Pyrex here. The video's just ended, so you're probably not watching, but hey. Just tell us something about Legion and we'll be quite happy. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.